The bloodbath. As the tributes stand on their podiums, the horn sounds. Makoto Nagi runs away from the cornucopia. Butterfly grabs a backpack and retreats. Harold runs away from the cornucopia. Monster runs away from the cornucopia. Skunt breaks Rex Danger Vest's nose for a basket of bread. Minus Prime runs away from the cornucopia. Rance Black runs away from the cornucopia. Forrest Blackwell runs away from the cornucopia. Ender breaks Darnell's nose for a basket of bread. Scombine, Prulhuo, Seu, and Esther share everything they gathered before running. Rick Rude runs away from the cornucopia. Shark breaks Mech's nose for a basket of bread. Luxentris runs away with a lighter and some rope. Flowey retrieves a trident from inside the cornucopia. The Mountain Man runs away from the cornucopia. Charlotte Emily runs away from the cornucopia. Kenny Kilmister runs away from the cornucopia. Helga kills Daddy Dearest as he tries to run. Mighty Eagle runs away from the cornucopia. Lord Garmadon stays at the cornucopia for resources. Mirage throws a knife into Ultron Sigma's chests. Ellis, Desplo, Original Vaginaire, and Lee Bear share everything they gathered before running. Unspeakable grabs a jar of fishing bait while Neon J gets fishing gear. Jotaro Kyojo takes a sickle from inside the cornucopia. Fandroid runs away from the cornucopia. Girlfriend runs away from the cornucopia. Anixel runs away from the cornucopia. Overlord finds a bag full of explosives. Shang Tsung gathers as much food as he can. Jade runs away from the cornucopia. Kevin Nash grabs a shovel. Technoblade finds a bag full of explosives. Mommy Miras snatches a pair of sayas. Stampy Longhead, Mr. Puzzles, and Chip Whistler work together to get as many supplies as possible. Paine's Cupcake runs away from the cornucopia. Moosecraft takes a spear from inside the cornucopia. El Presidente runs into the cornucopia and hides. Vince McMahon runs away from the cornucopia. Cyrix runs away from the cornucopia. Zymla grabs a shovel. Senator Armstrong grabs a shovel. Street Cleaner takes a spear from inside the cornucopia. Wolfie runs away from the cornucopia. Lord Vortek and Dr. Forte fight for a bag. Lord Vortek gives up and retreats. Immortal grabs a backpack and retreats. Ari finds a backpack full of camping equipment. Nene runs away from the cornucopia. King Cobberface runs away from the cornucopia. Windsweep runs into the cornucopia and hides. Engina runs away from the cornucopia. Nightmare Medic, Jimmy Carter, and Rex Fury work together to get as many supplies as possible. Buck the Weasel takes a sickle from inside the cornucopia. Pico runs away from the cornucopia. Hex runs away from the cornucopia. Bad Cop runs away from the cornucopia. Miles Edgeworth runs away from the cornucopia. Bart Wayne runs away from the cornucopia. Ren finds a backpack full of camping equipment. V2 runs away from the cornucopia. DJ Subatomic Supernova finds a bow, some arrows, and a quiver. Stupid Face runs away from the cornucopia. God Cow sets an explosive off, killing Henry Stickmin, Christian Brutal Sniper, and Yoriichi Tsujikuni. Vox runs away from the cornucopia. Ballistic Squid takes a sickle from inside the cornucopia. Waluigi, Mashed, runs away from the cornucopia. Bloodbath accidentally steps on a landmine. Dr. Light runs away from the cornucopia. Tigago kills V1 with a sickle. Comic Book Guy grabs a backpack and retreats. Dr. Sawyer runs away from the cornucopia. Eve runs away from the cornucopia. Ilani runs into the cornucopia and hides. The Tri run into the cornucopia and hides. Grey Man runs away from the cornucopia. Haim runs away from the cornucopia. Mindflayer finds a canteen full of water. M. Bison runs away from the cornucopia. Big John Inatter finds a bow, some arrows, and a quiver. Ferryman grabs a jar of fishing bait while the shotgun man gets fishing gear. Rick Prime grabs a jar of fishing bait while Oogway gets fishing gear. Courage the Cowardly Dog snatches a bottle of alcohol and a rag. Boyfriend grabs a sword. Minbit runs away from the cornucopia. Isaac, Lord Business, Tenna, and the last Ronin share everything they gathered before running. Otis grabs a shovel. Very cancerous rodent, Yunu, and Sisyphus Prime start fighting, but Yunu runs away as very cancerous rodent kills Sisyphus Prime. Azura runs away from the cornucopia. Tobuyu runs away from the cornucopia. Bubba Wayne runs away from the cornucopia. Metatron and Senpai fight for a bag. Metatron gives up and retreats. Sonic.exe clutches a first aid kit and runs away. Day 1. Courage the Cowardly Dog makes a slingshot. Tenna travels to higher ground. Bad Cop, Kenny Killmister, Unspeakable, and Tobuyu hunt for other tributes. Zymla shoots an arrow at Anixel, but misses and kills Butterfly instead. Mommy Mirist attacks Senator Armstrong, but original Vagineer protects him, killing Mommy Mirist. Shang Tsung, Paine's Cupcake, Big John Inator, Otis, and Fandroid hunt for other tributes. Charlotte Emily constructs a shack. Rex Dangavist hunts for other tributes. Comic book guy constructs a shack. Eve thinks about home. Vince McMahon steals from Forrest Blackwell while he isn't looking. Rick Root is pricked by thorns while picking berries. Girlfriend receives a hatchet from an unknown sponsor. Very cancerous rodent attacks Moosecraft, but he manages to escape. Gray Man diverts Rick Prime's attention and runs away. Mecha discovers a river. Dr. 4T discovers a river. Haim practices his archery. Metatron picks flowers. Nene is pricked by thorns while picking berries. Cyrix chases Ferryman. Jotaro Kyojo and Street Cleaner work together for the day. Minbit, Lee Bear, and Waluigi, Mashed, hunt for other tributes. Enjana collects fruit from a tree. Dr. Sawyer discovers a river. Helga receives clean water from an unknown sponsor. Ballistic Squid tries to sleep through the entire day. God Cow collects fruit from a tree. Lord Garmadon diverts Senpai's attention and runs away. Overlord is pricked by thorns while picking berries. Boyfriend makes a slingshot. El Presidente makes a wooden spear. Ari camouflages herself in the bushes. Vox tends to Lord Vorteca's wounds. Jimmy Carter is pricked by thorns while picking berries. The last Ronin receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. The Shotgun Man makes a wooden spear. Harold steals from Mr. Puzzles while he isn't looking. Rance Black tries to spear fish with a trident. Scumbine receives fresh food from an unknown sponsor. Seu and Jade hunt for other tributes. Mighty Eagle ambushes Wolfie and kills her. Skunt receives fresh food from an unknown sponsor. The Tri think about home. Azura runs away from the Mountain Man. Ender searches for firewood. Mind Flayer overhears Makoto Nagi and Technoblade talking in the distance. Isaac steals from Tigago while he isn't looking. Ilani practices his archery. Kevin Nash practices his archery. Minus Prime, Immortal, Windsweep, and Ren raid Buck the Weasel's camp while he is hunting. Monster runs away from King Cobberface. Nightmare Medic steals from Miles Edgeworth while he isn't looking. Dr. Light discovers a river. V2 receives clean water from an unknown sponsor. Neon J tends to Esther's wounds. Pico, Mirage, Bubba Wayne, Shark, and Floey hunt for other tributes. Stupid Face constructs a shack. M. Bison begs for Lord Business to kill him. He refuses, keeping M. Bison alive. Rex Fury travels to higher ground. Luxentris scares Oogway off. Darnell receives clean water from an unknown sponsor. Chip Whistler receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. DJ Subatomic Supernova and Hex split up to search for resources. Displo questions his sanity. Stampy Longhead fishes. Prulhua, Ellis, Sonic.exe, Bart Wayne, and Yunu hunt for other tributes.
Fallen tributes. 11 cannon shots. can be heard in the distance. Daddy Dearest. District 4. Ultron Sigma. District 10. Henry Stickmin. District 1. Christian Brutal Sniper. District 7. Yoriichi Tsujikuni. District 9. Bloodbath. District 8. V1. District 6. Sisyphus Prime. District 6. Butterfly. District 8. Mommy Nearest. District 4. Wolfie. District 8.
Night 1. Mind Flayer lets Pico into their shelter. Senpai quietly hums. Ferryman is awoken by nightmares. King Cobberface sets up camp for the night. Lee Bear starts a fire. Charlotte Emily cries herself to sleep. Isaac questions his sanity. Rex Dangavas sees a fire, but stays hidden. Dr. Light, Makoto Nagi, Bubba Wayne, and Jotaro Kyojo sleep in shifts. Stampy Longhead sees a fire, but stays hidden. Metaton is unable to start a fire and sleeps without warmth. Esther goes to sleep. Overlord questions his sanity. Forrest Blackwell taints Tigago's food, killing him. Bad Cop, Vox, Zymlu, and Prulhyo tell each other ghost stories to lighten the mood. Scombine cooks his food before putting his fire out. DJ Subatomic Supernova cooks his food before putting his fire out. Rex Fury, Lord Business, and Darnell discuss the games and what might happen in the morning. Rance Black tries to sing himself to sleep. Skunt cries himself to sleep. Ender passes out from exhaustion. Anixel lets Engina into its shelter. The Shotgun Man lets Windsweep into his shelter. Stupid Face quietly hums. Bart Wayne and Technoblade huddle for warmth. Neon J quietly hums. Kevin Nash and Sonic.exe hold hands. The try to treat their infection. Tabuya, Mighty Eagle, Jade, and Dr. Sawyer tell each other ghost stories to lighten the mood. Mecha loses sight of where he is. Lord Vortek begs for Azura to kill him. He refuses, keeping Lord Vortek alive. Otis, Senator Armstrong, Luxentrus, and Very Cancerous Rodent tell each other ghost stories to lighten the mood. Immortal and Hex tell stories about themselves to each other. Waluigi, mashed, kills Mirage with a hatchet. Girlfriend passes out from exhaustion. Fandroid, Chip Whistler, and Kenny Killmister sleep in shifts. Nene thinks about winning. V2 fence Gray Man, The Last Ronin, and Ilani away from his fire. Jimmy Carter lets boyfriend into his shelter. Oogway is unable to start a fire and sleeps without warmth. Seo convinces the mountain man to snuggle with her. Minus Prime bashes Displo's head in with a mace. Ellis screams for help. Nightmare Medic climbs a tree to rest. Painy's Cupcake climbs a tree to rest. Tenna stays awake all night. Monster fends Rick Rude, M. Bison, and Cyrix away from his fire. Buck the Weasel tends to his wounds. Original Vagineer loses sight of where he is. Lord Garmadon convinces Miles Edgeworth to snuggle with him. Vince McMahon stays awake all night. Floey and Comic Book Guy talk about the tributes still alive. Helga receives medical supplies from an unknown sponsor. Ballistic Squid, El Presidente, and Courage the Cowardly Dog cheerfully sing songs together. Mr. Puzzle sets up camp for the night. Minbit, Rick Prime, Shang Tsung, and God Cow tell each other ghost stories to lighten the mood. Dr. 4T and Big John Inata run into each other and decide to truce for the night. Street Cleaner attempts to start a fire, but is unsuccessful. Unspeakable and Haim huddle for warmth. Ren receives an explosive from an unknown sponsor. Shark and Eve tell stories about themselves to each other. Yuna tries to treat her infection. Harold receives a hatchet from an unknown sponsor. Ari receives a hatchet from an unknown sponsor. Moosecraft sees a fire, but stays hidden.